my quads. Today's focus is going to be a lot of static stretches that you can do for your quads, scalable to many different levels. So we'll start with a couple just really basic, easy ones that you can do if you don't have a lot of mobility in your legs. First one is just laying simply on your side. You're going to take the top leg and basically keeping your thighs parallel to each other, knee pointing down. You're going to basically pull back on your leg and push your hips forward, tucking the tailbone underneath, okay? So you really don't want to overly bend your back, but again, you're going to push your hips forward and take that tailbone, just kind of scoop it underneath as you pull it back, and this is a really good static stretch for your quads. You can also do this while laying on your stomach as well. Digging that pubic bone right into the ground and basically just kind of stretching your knee downwards. This is just the really basic stretches that you can do for your quads. Now, to ramp it up just a little bit, let's go into sitting right on top of your knees here. So you may have to kind of push your calves out of the way if you have giant calves like I do. So starting here, now you're going to probably feel a lot of stretch just through your quads right now. But to get into this a little bit more, you're going to envision pressing your knees down into the ground, and you're going to start to lean back and lift your hips up in the air. Okay, so you want to make sure that your knees stay on the ground. You don't want them to raise up, so keep them pressed on the ground. Start raising your hips up, kind of going into this bridge position. You're going to feel a really good stretch in the quads, and then you can sort of start to lower down as you keep your knees pressed to the ground, and then you'll feel a really good stretch here. And if you want to take this just a little bit further, you can go right down to your forearms, keeping those, again, knees pressed to the ground. So push the hips up in the air first, and then kind of start to lower down with that flat back all the way from your knees to your shoulders. And you'll get a really good stretch right through your quads. This is also a really good like back bend as well. If you can get all the way down to the ground, that's even better. So I know this isn't accessible for a lot of you guys, so you can start with the laying on the side or laying on your stomach. Just to show a couple more variations now on the stomach. So if we go back to this stretch right here, where you're basically pulling your foot into yourself, you can start to grab both legs and do the same thing. You want to, again, drive down through your hip bone or your pubic bone into the ground as you're stretching these. And then lastly, we'll go into something called boat pose, where you're grabbing your ankles and then basically start kicking the backs of your feet into your hands, stretch out the front of your shoulders. So this is a really good stretch for not only the quads, but also your upper shoulders as well. Try to keep your legs driving towards each other, so instead of spreading them apart, really try to drive your feet and your legs parallel to each other as best as possible. Another stretch that I want to show you guys as well is a variation on coming into lizard pose. So starting in this lunge position, you're basically going to start reaching for this back foot and see if you can grab it with the opposite hand. So instead of right hand, right foot, see if you can grab it with your left hand so you're kind of crossing over the body, and then you can pull this into a stretch here. Remember to tuck that tailbone underneath and pull that pelvis under so that you're not pushing your hips too far forward, but you want to actually kind of stay a little bit more upright on this one before you push the hips forward. So remember, tuck the tailbone in, take those hip points, kind of pull them up just a little bit, and see if you can try to bring your foot right to the back of your glutes, and you're going to feel a good stretch here. You can take this a little bit deeper. I'm going to go ahead and switch legs here. If you get down into your lizard pose lunge, so if you're able to get down to, let's say, your forearm, you can actually grab that leg there, and then stay on your forearm as you pull this leg back. So this is if you're super mobile, have the ability to do this. This feels really good all the way up through the psoas, through the quads, or you can just stay on the arm right here as well if that works for you, or come down to the forearm. So this is a really, really good quad stretch for the hips, flexors, and for the quads, especially right after those wall balls that you guys just did. Alright, so hope you guys can use one of these quad stretches if your legs feeling a little bit sore after all those wall balls.